everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Out Reviews, back to talk more Witcher. We're on the penultimate episode of Season 1. It's episode 7. It's called Before a Fall. So full spoilers if you've not seen this episode. Much better, I guess, as far as getting the story to move along than last episode. We're finally almost all caught up timeline-wise. I actually kind of forgot about the timelines as I came back to the show. Completely just didn't even think about that they were still in the past. Ciri's in the present, and Geralt and Yennefer were catching up in the past. They had to learn all these things. They had to go through all this stuff to get to this point, and we get to basically see that Geralt was never very far away. And that the events of the last episode brought him back to Sintra, a place he didn't want to go. He didn't want to follow the laws of surprise. He didn't want, he didn't want any part of it. But because of what the guy, what was his name, Borch, said to him, and everything that went down with Yennefer, he's back to, fulfill his part of the deal that he made all those years ago. And this is where, we see him witnessing everything. He sees the Nilfgaard armies approaching, and it goes back there now. He thinks it's a boy. He's like, but before I get into all that, I always try to get, before I just recap and everything like that. This is a solid episode, but again, it's all feeling really, I don't know. It doesn't feel as much like The Witcher that I know. Now, I'm sure that this is probably more like the books. I don't know, because I've never read them. But I imagine the books are probably more filled with this kind of story than just him chopping up monsters every couple of seconds like in a video game. You kind of have to in a video game. So I am a bit disappointed that there's not more of that than the more of the Game of Thronesy political intrigue and, keeping the continent safe. But that's, it's okay. It's just something you have to get used to. So by the time season 2 rolls around, I'll be more, they'll have figured out the ways that they really want to do it. Season 1s in a lot of shows are them figuring things out. And I definitely feel like there's still a lot to figure out here. But usually season 2s, if they're good, season 2s are usually like some of the best stuff. And so I feel like this is like the springboard for some really good stuff we're going to see in the future. Because this is them all coming together. This is about, this is the origin, kind of everything that's going to spring after this. So I think that while we've seen some kind of bold episodes and interesting takes and good world building, this has all been building up all the characters so that when we come back next year or whenever they bring this back, we won't have to, go, what's this? Why is this? All that. We'll have all that. It's like a sequel, like a superhero sequel, right? Where you don't want to see, like in Spider-Man 2, right? You didn't want to see them just go over the same thing over again, right? They can just, they cover the origin story in the first movie, so you can cut right to the action in the second. And so all this stuff, I feel like, well, sometimes I feel kind of bored watching it, like a little bit, especially because this episode is retelling the events of the first episode. I have to remind myself that this is all necessary character stuff for later. If anybody else understands that. So, going forward, I did like this episode a lot. So he knows that it's a girl. And then we also find out that, Ciri's parents were lost at sea. That's, it's a very, okay, they've been gone a long time, maybe. I don't know how long they've been gone, but lost at sea is always one of those great plots devices for somebody to just suddenly show up. At least one person to suddenly show up, hey, guess what? We lived, or I lived, or that person sacrificed themselves so I could come back later on in the story. The explanation, though, now why Sintra cut itself off is a lot more, it makes more sense. They cut themselves off to protect the girl. But in doing so, they left themselves open to, they didn't have any relationships anymore with anybody. They cut off the mages, they cut off nobody. The queen, like, in her wisdom, which is questionable at best at this point, uh, has no outside influence. So now you understand now, like, why people weren't helping them out. Now the mages, on the other hand, they voted in a certain way, like that we'll talk about in a little bit. But like the ships and all these other people, yeah, you cut yourself off from us, so we cut you off. It also doesn't help that probably some of these people were already taken over by Nilfgaard. Um, so that really makes sense. And the queen sending the assassins is bad enough, and Mousak porting them out was pretty cool. And then Geralt's like, yeah, I can't be bought. Okay, this is the rules. You can't fight the laws of surprise. If you fight the laws of surprise, usually you end up dead. So we see Geralt was trying here. He was trying to come back. He was trying to do the right thing, even though like he doesn't want to. He's just following the rules. And there's a quick bit here with Ciri, how she's offered to safety, but she steals a horse instead. Again, her stuff's just really minor in this, except for the end. Um, Trying to trick Geralt here, which was interesting. Like, who? They send him off. They say, okay, we're going to get the girl, right? Then the door opens at the end of this. Almost like somebody was purposely telling him, guiding him to where he would find her. I mean, look at the look in his face where he's down the hall, kind of weird. The door opens at the end of the hall, and where it opens up to a hallway, basically corralling him. At first I thought he was being corralled into a trap. But really what's happening is they corralled him to the outside so that he could see that the fake Ciri goes over to her friends, where we see Ciri dressed as a commoner playing from the first episode the game with them. And this is all playing out. So all these events we're seeing, there's like things that we didn't hear, moments that we didn't catch or they didn't show us, little asides that seem maybe a little off from each episode now are fully explained. So again though, this queen just constantly fucking things up. She did it before her daughter's wedding, and now she's doing it again, and she keeps thinking she's doing the right thing, but wow, is she dumb. Like, I mean, I get the parental thing, but like, when you have no allies and you keep screwing with people that could help you because you're better and smarter and everything, it's just like, good lord. Even her king, who's standing by her side, I don't think he 100%, I think he would trust Geralt, but he loves her so much that he won't stand against her. And then they trap him. Like, they ask him to please leave, don't come back, and because he can't, they trap him and they lock him up. Meanwhile, Yennefer finds her old lover, Istrid. He's working with Nilfgaard because they let him do his work. And he tries to give her the old... It sounds like somebody trying to convince somebody of like a communism or a certain sort of political belief, like socialism, or believing in a dictator or a despot, or some other, convincing you of some, like, when everybody's saying, oh, Nilfgaard's like a bunch of fucking assholes. And him going, well, let me just tell you the truth here. You're only being told what people want you to hear, okay? They care about their people. Everybody gets the same thing. And she's like, yeah, everybody gets the same thing. A bunch of same stuff, like something to drink that smells like piss. But she's talking to him about, let's go away like we talked about. Let's just run away and I'll be a mage and you can do this or whatever. And, but she's desperate. She's desperate, she's scared, she's alone, she's lonely. She walked away from, Istrid before because of power. And then she finds Geralt, who loves her, but she throws him away because she can't believe it after the genie thing, except I think that's just a convenient excuse for her. Because again, it's all about the guilt, not guilt, I don't know. Some guilt over like maybe her sisters, but her magic sisters at the school. But I feel like it's all about regret. Like making all the wrong choices for all the wrong things. She got all the things she wanted and it's not enough. And now she's lost the things that she really would want. Um, and so he basically tells her that. Like, you chose power over love and so bye. I mean, he just gets up and bounces. And I loved it, man. It's pretty fucking classy. And then this other guy just kind of scoots in like, hello. And she's even like, oh, fuck right off, dude. But he tells her that the Order wants her back. But really it's not true. They just want, like, they want her back. The one guy wants her on his side. Where she comes back to the old school, walks into her old room, sees the students that are there, seeing that they don't even have magical powers. Some of them were just, like, their parents bought their way into the school. Hey, that's pretty current. Paying somebody to get somebody into a school that they're not qualified for. Where have I heard that story recently? But she gets him, like, she drugs him, basically. I think she means to, like, try to be, like, the cool teacher. Not teacher, but, like, the cool girl that comes back to school. But she's also coming with a warning. And this is where I find out that what my first initial reaction to the girls turning into eels was correct. She turned those people into eels. They did not make it. There were few people in the comment section that said, "Oh, well, you don't know, you didn't see," like they would. No, they were in there. They all got turned into eels. The ones that didn't ascend. So they were used as human batteries. And she wants to point that out to these girls, like, before you commit to this, know what they take from you. Now, again, that was by choice. And she wasn't going to ascend. Well, not the way that... She forced this, remember. She made that guy, do to her what they didn't want. That's why she left on her own, because she went off on and did things that they didn't want. That's prefacing. There's more to it than that. But that's why when she comes back, she doesn't get a vote. And so, I mean, this is a pretty quick episode to talk about. We find out that Triss and Yennefer know each other, but Triss has basically no impact on this episode. Where they basically are voting about what to do about Nilfgaard. And there's two schools of thought on it. One side's like, let's side with Nilfgaard. The ones that are more like into power and darker stuff, like like Lars Mikkelsen's character. I can't remember what his name is. It's like, dang it, I have this right here. Oh wait, all these notes, man. Stregabor's side, and then the guy's side that asked her to come back to the school, and basically they get outvoted. Basically the whole Rome sides with Nilfgaard to stay out of it, basically. Because that's what, the one girl, Fringilla, comes in, and she just comes walking in unannounced, like, we don't want to change anything, we don't want to do anything, but that's what bad guys say right before they fucking let the hammer down. Like, think of, like, the Empire, who, like, in the Clone Wars, right? This is maybe talking over, some people don't know Star Wars, but they were trying to convince all these other planets that, dude, just get them on our side, just don't side with the rebels, nothing's gonna happen to you. And then when the Empire took over, they basically fucking took over. And they lied and they turned their, they just went right back on what they said and were trying to basically wipe everybody out. And that's what I think Nilfgaard's going to end up doing, right? That it's just they're all about power. And they were wronged, apparently, in the past with Sintra. So they've got beef, and now, they're coming back with a vengeance. But I know there's more to it than that as well. So the mages vote against helping Sintra, except Yen, who didn't get a vote, and Thaisa, I think. She didn't get a vote, or however you say her name. So Mousak then, he goes for Geralt. They know it's too late. We cut to the end of the first episode. Queen's sitting there all wounded, like, oh fuck, I guess I was wrong. I didn't, or things didn't work out the way I wanted them to. because things apparently have always, worked out in the past so well. But he already liberated himself, and he's kind of going around looking for Siri. Nobody has any answers, and she, they go to find him, and he's gone, and they're just like, well, you're gonna, try to find him. It means he's escaped. It means there's hope. And Siri in the present now. This is okay. So they jump back. So you might, again, this would probably confuse some people. This is not right after the fight. This is well after, where she's stolen the horse, and she's out by herself with a fire, and she's found by some fellow Cintrans, who remember what Dara said. What did you say about people that escaped? They're going to be turned. People that were, so these people were mad about what happened to their city, and basically they never really liked her, and they just kind of put up with her because she was a princess, and if they didn't play along, maybe something bad would happen to them. And so they're about to do something bad to her, turn her in, take her horse, all that shit, when she starts suddenly speaking elder words that are not her own, and that's the end of the episode. And so we're at the final episode, and I don't know if I'm going to get to it today because I got to do Doctor Who, but pretty solid in it going into the end of this season. It's only like an hour long. I would have thought it'd be a little bit longer for an 8-episode season finale, but it isn't. So they've got a lot to do. But I imagine that by the end of this, we will have everybody basically kind of coming together in some form. Yennefer, Geralt, and Ciri. It's just going to be a lot happening in that last hour. So, pretty good stuff. Again, all world building, all character stuff. If you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. You can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. Otherwise, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews saying have a great night, and we will be back with the Season 1 finale of The Witcher sooner rather than later. Bye.